So thinking about comps, thinking about like what your role is in this comp, given that they have this sim, like it's essentially the soldier is like the only actual threat on you. The Ashe and the D.Va contribute a little bit, but the soldier's like by far the really dangerous hero. So what I think you should be thinking about coming into this comp when you have a ball as well as a tracer, you have like a lot of dive support, is trying to basically burst the soldier, like jump on the soldier and burst him. At this point, you don't necessarily know what they're running yet, so you're just kind of going up mid, which is fine. But when you see this guy here, I think you need to take an angle of attack that gets you to this soldier. So what I would recommend, something I learned from Dante actually, is that there's a really good flight path on this map, which is to go from this spot right here on the mega. You fly up here, you go over this roof here, and then you can go right here and like peek this corner and shoot stickies, and then you can kind of like, obviously if you hit all the stickies or something you might die, but probably not. But then you land like in this spot, and then the soldier has no idea where you're going to pop out, right? You could pop out over here, you could go right back up the front. You have a lot of options. You could come like, you could go very high up in the air and like go up back here. You could come out like right under him and just jump on him with a ball or something. But I think in general, you don't want to be doing this like long spam game against a boosted soldier. Like he wins this fight, you know? Yeah. Like your ball pressures him off, so you're able to walk through the choke like this, which is fine. But on the rollout on this map in general, I would recommend that rollout. Like even if you don't know what the comp is, you're just better off just trying to get that setup that puts you up close to the enemy hit scan. This is really great. You're like in this high ground. I'm just gonna shit on all these guys, easy. I think this push is inadvisable though.
Yeah.
Like,
kind of got excited, so it's like, ooh, I got the kill.
Yeah. Well, the thing to remember, right, when you make a big play, this is like a key skill. You make a big play like this, it's like, yes, you just crush them. And honestly, you can probably feed and you probably still should win. But that doesn't mean that it's not a feed to go in here, right? True. So this is like sort of like as you continue to improve, you know, you play games where like, you know, the game's just fucking hard as shit and you get a triple kill and you still lose because you need to not only get the triple kill but stay alive. And the biggest thing also is when you get one of these sort of plays where you're just actually having like this huge burst and get a bunch of kills super fast, you're also using your whole cooldown set for that. So you have nothing in this fight, you know. You have like nothing, you have nothing left when you push down here. So
at the same time, it would have been really easy to live just by not going in.
Yeah, right. And like the thing is, I don't mind you going, but I just want you to wait. I just want you to wait whatever it might be, 5 seconds or something, 3 seconds to get your CDs back. And then if you want to go, you can run in with your stickies again, right? But going without your cooldowns is just feeding, right? So even when you make a big play, even when you're excited, that's the most important time to just continue to play intelligently. It's 2 CP first point, right? So that is just, it's like enough to get the burst and you still win the fight. But that's just a really important habit to not be in, where you don't want to be in this habit of like, whenever you make a big play, then you go, you know, you go super YOLO and you just like end up dying, right? Effectively what that means is instead of getting a triple kill, it's like you just got a double kill, right? You just like did a -1 on what your play was before. Yeah, like that's, I think, common on DPS too, is like you'll make big plays and then if you die for that play, it's like that play is now 1 kill less good. Sometimes that's still okay sometimes to die if you have to die, but if you don't have to die, stay alive. Stay alive for those long fights, because you know eventually you'll come to a point in terms of like less competitive play, more like ranked play, where like you're the highest rated player in the game, and even though you get the opening kills, you like need to continue to do more or you lose. And that's a point where that decision making is going to be the most key, right? I don't like your choice here to focus the Nano Zarya. I think breaking the TP is fine, but I don't even like you flying in here, you know? Like, I think after you kill this McCree, I would rather see you... Well, for one, I want to see you hit the back line. But even when you're going to break this TP, it's like a TP. It's not moving. You know, you don't need to, like, go in close to hit your shots in the TP. So, like... I mean, this guy almost died. If he, like, hit every shot, he would have died. But if he was a better player, he would have, like, not broken LOS with his Ana. And he wouldn't have taken really much damage at all. So I think you can look for... you can look for the backline more here, especially when the McCree's dead. Also think this copy is like, in my opinion, this isn't the best way to use. I mean, it's fine. It's fine actually to copy here. I just mean like in general, I think the best way to copy is to jump in, use your cooldown set, like throw stickies and maybe beam, and then copy at like the last second when they're low. This is fine though, just because you really want to be Zarya here, so it's like a great copy, and you're gonna probably just dominate them with the copy. So in that sense, I don't mind you just getting it out. But yeah, I think like again, you're focusing the tanks, like you're not focusing the back line. You know, their Mercy and their Mercy did die to your Widow, but like you're one of the best heroes in the game on Echo at just sneaking up behind backliners and blowing them up. And you did it to the McCree. You did like McCree is exactly that type of hero who can just blow up with no counter. But then once the McCree's dead, like shooting tanks is the conservative safe play. When you're like, well, I'm scared to go on the back line, I'm gonna shoot tanks. But when you just got that kill on McCree, you should just be thinking, how do I get behind? How do I kill the back line? You know, this Zarya, like, she does die here and stuff, but I think it's more of a symptom of like them misplaying than it being the best. It's just not the right focus target for you, right? Even though she goes down here, you know, like this fight in general is just going to be super hard if you can't kill the back line. Sorry, what was that?
Like right now, when they put up the wall or something like that, instead of just fighting the front line and going for that Zarya who was feeding, I could go and flank it and try to kill the back line.
Honestly, I think when they put the wall, it's basically game over. Like the wall saves the fight for them. But like I think you are right. Like if you are gonna win, you're gonna win because you burst backliners. You helping kill a Zarya is not probably gonna win. I mean, it's also a very weird comp. Like typically, people wouldn't play Zarya there, and also the Zarya shouldn't be deep. She should just be sitting behind the wall. But so there's like a lot of misplays in that sense. But I think the most important thing is just to, like earlier on in the fight, once you killed the McCree, like you did the right thing in taking out the biggest threat first. Holy shit, someone just gave me 20 subs. But thank you, Mechmac, for the 20 gifters. But basically like killing the biggest threat first is exactly right on Echo. But once you kill that threat, it's like, what's the point of you killing that threat? The real value is that now you can go no fear and kill the really high value heroes like Ana, right? Zarya is a very hard kill for you, so like you don't want to go for those difficult kills when you already killed the big threat. You want to go for the easy kills who are no longer protected.
Yeah, because okay, that makes a lot of sense.
This fight's for sure over, probably, because McCree just got too many kills. So you're just running. It's the right play. It's kind of all you can do. It's a huge kill on McCree, actually. Oh my god, one. So close. Yeah, I like this play from you to float around the edge here. Good stickies. I'm trying to get McCree here. One thing for you to think about here, this is getting to like a pretty advanced level of like, when you're not having any hope of winning, like in this sense, like your Roadhog, you know what I mean? Like your Roadhog's like still respawning. It's not that you don't have any hope of winning, but like shooting this D.Va doesn't really do much for you when you already have, like when you already have ult. Like obviously if you didn't have ult, it would be good to farm the ult. But since you don't have ult, I think what you should be thinking about in this sense, when in the time when your teammates are still respawning after a lost fight, your whole mindset should be like, how do we win the next fight? What can I do to enable that next fight win? In this case, the answer is clear this shit. You might not know for sure it's there, but still I think this high ground is actually like the relevant position on the map. Whereas this left side, like you're poking D.Va, but you're never going to run in. Even if you literally hit like the whole stickies on her, you're never going to like fly in on her, you know? And she's just going to eat this pack, right? Like she's not scared of you at all. So being on this side of the map is just, you're not really accomplishing anything. It's like you're just kind of defaulting. But like on this side of the map, you're working your way in and you're applying way more pressure to the enemy team onto heroes who don't necessarily want to be taking that pressure. Like D.Va doesn't mind. This I love though. This is classic Echo. Sneak up on this guy, destroy him, destroy that guy with a sick left click. Okay, they're just lambs to the slaughter, I guess. This is a mistake on Echo. Okay, little tiny thing for you, Copy Hog, because Copy Hog is like goated. You should do it all the time. But this is something I actually was thinking. I literally figured this out today. I'm like, man, I always make this mistake on Echo, so I just want to impart this to you. So, like, this is insane. Obviously, this is all good. You destroy this guy, destroy the mech. When you copy Hog, though, I realized I did this exact same thing. I always throw the hook when I'm falling in the air, and I like always miss it because it's so hard. Like the hook you're throwing right now, this is so hard. This is such a hard shot. But if you just stop right now and like walk at him for a second and then hook, it's like 3 times as likely to hit, you know? It's so much easier. Whereas when you're falling through the air, that's like a very hard shot, and there's no reason to make it hard when you could just wait to hit the ground. But I mean, I'm telling you, I literally do exactly the same thing when I fucking play Echo, when I copy Hog. I do the exact same thing, and I fuck up and try and throw the hook too early. But I was just having that realization today of like, when you do the Hog copy, just make sure that first hook is good, because when the first hook is good and you get a confirmed kill or you hit somebody for a big meat shot, the reward is so high, it's worth waiting just a second or two to make that 20%, 30% more consistent. There's no reason to be super rushed to throw the hook. You know, let yourself drop to the ground, line it up, wait for the really easy one. The same thing is like if you're playing Roadhog, you wouldn't like, you know, go for the super crazy hook. You would like kind of, you know, you have to balance it out. You kind of wait for the hook that's pretty likely to land when you throw it.
Like a widow shot.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't compare it to anything else. Like it's, if you play, I don't know if you play Roadhog or tanks or whatever, but it's like any hero with like a key cooldown. It's like, imagine playing McCree against Tracer. You don't just like instantly throw the flash the first millisecond the Tracer's in flash range. You know, you kind of play with her and like shoot her a couple times. You try to like, you know, make her think you're not going to flash, then you flash. Like you don't want to just dump your stuff instantly at the hardest moment. You want to wait for the moment that's like the highest likelihood to succeed. Small thing for you on this map that you should do every round that's really stupid is, you know the Widow jump shot up here?
Yeah.
You can do this with stickies as well. So I think the place to stand is like here, and if you just fly, max fly, you have to fly when it's like about, I think it's 4 seconds on the clock is the right timing, because then you get up here when it's like 1 second on the clock, and then you throw all your stickies. I mean, they might just eat them, but for the same purpose as the Widow jump shot, you know, why not? Why not throw stickies at the spawn, charge a little bit of ultimate? Nobody plays Zarya anyway, so. Like, that's just one of those little efficiency maximizing plays that you always want to be making. You want to be getting in the habit of making every time, because sometimes having that ult 2% earlier saves the game. Okay, I like this play. I think you had a little bit of indecision. You're thinking about what to do, but I think this is the right play. I think you just as easily, you could have also done a play where you go with ball and you try and like, I don't know where these guys went. Maybe they went this way. You could have also attacked this side. But when you see the enemy split like that and they go to a 3-3 split, you definitely just want to make a decision as quickly as possible about which group to fight. Usually the right answer is like, where can your teammates help you the most? And I don't think it's kind of like 50-50 actually in this situation, because you have Hog on the one hand but Ball on the other. Yeah. This is okay. I don't like, I would rather you time this peak with the Ashe with your stickies though. Like when you push this Ashe here. Oh shit, my game's low. Oh, it's great. So you were like 1 second off your stickies. Just something to think about when you do this peak. Like I would like not do this push. I would like stay like right on the edge or something, and then only push him when you actually have the stickies. The first stickies, yeah, was kind of questionable. Like in terms of sticky. The other thing I think honestly in the situation is, in hindsight, like when the Ashe is coming up here, I think you don't even want to be fighting her like this, where you're like, you know, basically mono in this doorway. That's like kind of that's a pretty good fight for Ashe. I think you'd be better off knowing that when she goes up here, she's going to be like seeing your allies and sniping them. You might be able to like sneak in a flank here and pop up behind her. It's just when the enemy's not looking at you, it's so easy to land your full sticky and E instantly. So that's something you really want to look for, especially on a pocketed hero like with Mercy in particular. Unless you're trying to kill Mercy, I mean, even whoever you're trying to kill, it doesn't matter honestly. Just like trying to come up from those unexpected angles and get your stickies out before they even realize you're there. Because as soon as they realize, they're going to start strafing, and it's going to be really hard to get more than like 1 or 2 bombs on them. This is a little bit sketch because they cap point. You have to get kills to make this worth, but you're kind of doing it. Yeah, I'd be looking to like just charge as much ult as possible here and die. This is one of those very sketchy fights. Like, I mean, their spawn's right there, right? So kills are good. They just slow them down. But yeah, as long as you stay in and force them to kill you, that's the right play. As long as you don't run away in those plays, just make them kill you. Then it ends up being good. But you guys are coming up against a pretty hard fight here. I mean, you have ults, but they have a lot of ults too. And their comp is... I think it's fine to play your hero, but I think boosted Ashe is probably one of the scariest like things to play against on Echo. Next to like McCree, basically. Good copy. Okay, I think this is a mistake from you in the sense of what your focus is. I think you did the right thing right at the start going on this Roadhog. And this is one of my favorite ways to use the copy, which is go use all your CDs on somebody, copy them, and then kill them with the copy. But I think like you could literally just hold W on this Roadhog here. Right? Like, yeah, he goes around the corner, but there's no reason to like give up on this kill, I think. Like, when you're copied, you can just have no fear, you know? Like, even if you die, it's not that big of a deal because you're just going to fly away. But the biggest thing is this guy is so low, and you're the one who put him low. You know he's low, right? So there's no reason to go for other players when, you know, like, you just set that guy to 1 HP. You know, you can just kill that guy. Like, finish your plate is, I guess, what I'm getting at. Especially on a hero like Roadhog, who's, like, guaranteed going to be healed up if he doesn't die. Especially with the copy, right? Sometimes you might be scared to chase down those low players, but with copy, especially Hog, you should never be scared. You know, if you take damage, it's like a good thing, because then you can heal and get an ult. Yeah, like it doesn't even matter if you die. And I mean, the special thing is like Roadhog copy is kind of unique because of the heal thing, right? You basically get if you take 300 damage, you pretty much get like an entire like whole hog off of just the heal. You'll need to do a little bit of damage. I would have made sure you kill the turrets here, honestly, when you're in the recontest. The turrets are really broken. They have to die. Especially on Tracer, you're pretty good at killing them. Ends up being okay, I think, because your team gets good plays, but... At this point, I think it's good to stay Tracer. The spot, by the way, you're looking for with this thing right here. Yeah, you have to. It's like the little. I think it's black on the top. It's like, yeah, the rectangle. You can stand on this thing right here, and then jump up. That is a good spot, but yeah, just so you know. I like this play, honestly. Going for some hiding stuff. The D.Va saw you though, so it's a little sketchy, but this is some. I think, I don't know. I think when the D.Va saw you, you might have wanted to be a little bit more cautious about this play. Like, I like shooting this Mercy here, but I'm not sure how I feel about like riding the elevator and going all in on her once the D.Va is saving her. Like, I don't know. It just so happens this Ana is like asleep or whatever, but like as you climb, this will not happen. You know, the supports will heal each other when you dive. So I like the idea to like come around the left flank and look for that quick burst. But if it doesn't look good right at the start, it might be better to just poke and get out and like hold on to as many resources as you can. There, I think when somebody's not looking at you, there's no reason to shoot like this. Like when you have a stick, you could just walk up on this guy and put it on his back, or you could try to one clip him. But you kind of have to pick one or the other, right? Yeah, I mean, McCree can be scary, right? Because he can always, like, turn on you and just flash you and you're dead, so. I think it is one of the best, like, ways to pulse bomb in general is when you can, you know, make it as easy as possible, right? You pulse somebody who's, like, not looking at you and standing still. Good turn on the Mercy. Nice one clip. That's potentially game-saving. Recall the bomb. Really good. That's huge, actually. You guys might win because of that play. The kill on the Mercy was massive. Basically 2 kills in 1. It's good, really good by you to like change target instantly so that you can't get res off. It looks like you guys hold. That's insane. I didn't think you guys were gonna hold that. Yeah. Let me fix something really quick.
I'm too quiet?
Yeah, you're too quiet. I made you louder. It's okay. That's all good.
Alright.
I lived those days too, long ago. All right, so enemy makes a switch to Zarya. No, they go hogs. Just kind of. Oh no, he was on hog before, so your game plan is back to normal. Just give up his whole hog for no reason. I think you could have gotten out of there without recall. You want to really hold on to your recall, right? Like if you have 2 blinks like this, especially in this situation, right? Like I feel like I almost always want to try to blink. If I have, unless I have like 1 or less blinks, I basically don't ever want to recall. I like always want to try and blink more, and in hopes of holding on to that recall. Like in this case, I don't know. Maybe he has flash. He's just not. Yeah, he does. He actually doesn't have flash. Maybe you don't know that for sure. But regardless, I think you could definitely like double blink out of this. You know, like if you blink once, blink twice, you're back with your team. You're safe. So if you still have 2 blinks, and you have 2.5 blinks here, like you're pretty safe. You definitely don't need to recall here. You might even be able to stay in, but even if you want to get out, just think about sometimes you don't have to recall to get out. You know, like the classic tracer play is like blink in, be aggressive. Now you're in danger, you recall, you get out, right? That's like the classic play, and it's going to happen a lot. But there's some times where you don't need to use that recall, and you could just keep blinking and just keep getting out without recalling. And it makes your next play that much faster. You don't need to wait for CDs and stuff.
One thing that scares me sometimes is getting stuck on weird geometry whenever you try to blink out. Or like you realize that you don't have enough blinks to get out with.
Yeah.
And you have to recall, and then you're just in the middle of it.
That's true. That's true. I mean, don't like. I think the thing is, it's just like that can happen, and you can blink into walls and die because you're trying to be greedy and hold recalls. But nonetheless, like if you practice a lot, you try to get out of situations without recalling. A lot of times you will be able to live, or if you do make that mistake, you'll learn from it, you know, and like you'll improve because. Like I think you don't want to have that mindset of like, oh, it might go wrong, so I'm gonna go for like the easier play. Because when you're trying to improve and you're trying to get better, the easier play or like the play that is just like easier to execute, there's sometimes some benefits to that. But I think when you're trying to focus on improving, you should always think about like what's like the best play, like the highest value play, if that makes sense. Sometimes they're the same thing, and like the easy play is good because it's easy, so it's like guaranteed value. But you just want to make sure you're keeping that open mind of like, you know, because like in that case, I feel like you just recalled kind of out of habit. Honestly, you're like, oh, I'm in. Let's recall. I'll get out. And I'm just telling you, in that case, you didn't need it. Sometimes you will, and sometimes if you're trying to do this and trying to hold recalls a lot, you will die and you'll lose games or whatever because of that. But as you get better and better, then that'll happen less. You'll screw up and die less. And what'll happen more often is you'll just get out of those situations and still have recall, and you can go back in with like a pulse recall just faster. And like, yeah. So I'm basically don't limit yourself by saying like I might mess up with that play, so I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah,
you know, like
right.
Don't be scared to try something that's like test your limits a little bit. You know, you don't want to go too insane and fucking go try and one clip somebody right in front of the other team, like, you know, whatever. You don't need to be crazy, but pushing your limits little by little and finding those ways to be more efficient is how you become better. It's how you become a stronger player, ultimately.
Yeah, I was watching Dante earlier, and I realized that a lot of the big differences between me and him, it's like, because I have experience competitively and in tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
So he just does so much of the smaller things so much better than me. It all adds up to being the same difference. Yeah,
and that's the biggest thing people don't realize, right? Is they think, you know, high level players are like different or whatever. You know, like the top players are like the funny thing is like a lot of times aim isn't the biggest differentiating factor. I think that's what probably most people get wrong, is people think that, oh, maybe they just aim better than me. But realistically, maybe that's true a little bit, but the way bigger differences are like in terms of being efficient and your map positioning and your focus targets and things like that. Like decision making really makes a bigger difference in Overwatch than your aim being 5% better. You know, and Overwatch is a game, I think, more than any other game I've ever played where that's true. There's so much decision making. There's so much going on in any given fight that like having the right decision makes more difference than the out aiming.
Yeah, there's one thing. This is a little off topic, but
Yeah.
I noticed Striker doing in I think it was the grand finals on Tracer, where he was flanking the back line and he realized that they were splitting. So he followed Diana, peppered her a little bit, recalled back to where he was, and then went for the other split with a pulse bomb.
Yeah, I mean,
Saved his blinks.
yeah, using the recall instead of the blinks because you value the blinks higher. See, like that's another way to look at it. Is like it's not necessarily always better to hold the recall. I think typically I would say in like a standard defensive situation, the recall is going to be really valuable. Like if you have a really strong position on the map, then the recall is really valuable because it enables you to go back to that strong position easily. But maybe in some cases, like, yeah, and I think that is true. Like sometimes you can use the recall to like cross the map super like faster than the enemy thinks you can. Like you go to one side of the map for a micro play, or like you might go on one target, force the Mercy to fly to them, and then recall and instantly go on the next target so the Mercy's not pocketing them.
It's those kind of plays that are really cool about Tracer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Tracer's one of those heroes where it's like, it's everything is situational, you know, like it's just it's an insanely deep hero that you'll never master no matter how long you play the game. Like no one's ever going to play a perfect game at Tracer. It's just too hard. So it's like, I think Tracer and Genji and Widow are all kind of in that category of just, it's more art than science because there's so, you can be so creative, right? You can play it in very different ways. The more you have like different plays in your kit and different ways to like strategies to pull out or like different ways to play Tracer, you know, you can switch from one style to the next and it's just going to make the other team struggle to respond because they think you're going to hunt the backline because you hunt the backline for one round. And then the next fight, you're just like only pressuring tanks. And then their backline is just unnecessarily passive because they think you're coming, but you're not. And then you shoot tanks and get value there. Or they think you're going to stick the tanks because you've been sticking tanks. And then, you know, you sneak up behind and pick off the Zen or whatever, right? So the more different ways to play that you have like mentally down, like you've practiced different ways to play, then the more you can like use the one that fits the situation or just change it up just to be unpredictable. Like the stuff you said about Striker is like definitely applies, but that's like such an advanced play. Like you only do that like once every few games, you know, that's not even like, you can't even do that every game, right? It's like only a certain situation.
By the way, they're saying that I'm so quiet.
That's fine. I can hear you.
Okay.
I turned you up to max on mine, but don't worry about it. Don't wake up your parents to get in trouble. It's all good. Yeah, understood, man. This is a really good situation to be Echo. Just a note, like their comp is terrible against you.
Genji Symmetra.
Yeah, they can't like do anything against you. So you're free. Just go YOLO. The one thing I would say is when I play Echo against Winston D.Va, I always try and kill tanks, actually. Usually on Echo, I want to hunt the backline, especially if there's a threat. Like if this guy was Soldier, I would be wanting to hunt him. You could also kill the Ana. But in this map especially, right, this is such an open map, I would be saving my cooldown set and just waiting for one of their tanks to make a move. Because if you think about your overall team comp, you guys poke so much harder than them. The only way they win is dives, right? Like the only way this comp actually wins is like the dive and the dash reset and like Winston D.Va going on one target together and extending out. If you don't have to burst a Mercy or whatever, or a Genji, I mean, this is fine, right? You're pressuring the guy who's forward. The Genji has to back off. This is all good. But I don't like this beam on the Mercy. I don't know. Maybe if you had been like beaming before your shot even landed, you might have been able to get this kill. But what, like the biggest thing I'm noticing right now is that this guy's over here. And I think like when they're playing a dive comp and they're in the work, like this is not where they want to be. You know what I mean? They're playing dive and they're like hiding in the corner. So these guys are doing nothing. So focus your damage and your cooldowns and your pressure onto the active players. If there's a D.Va and an Ana and like basically like you notice there's this very passive bunker going on and then there's somebody who's not in the bunker, that has to be your target. Kind of regardless of other concerns. If there's somebody who's out in the open, that should be your target. And look at this Winston. I mean, look at him. He's so scared. Like, just destroy him, right? But if you just play like a slower style and you like, I don't know, it's like calling is unreliable in pubs and stuff. But yeah, like if you had saved your beam for that, it could have been even easier, even quicker, etc. I mean, you end up getting the kill of 1v1 anyway. I think this Winston kind of misplayed it as well, but just something to think about. When they're playing dive comp, at least personally, when I play Echo and the dive, I shoot the Winston. I tunnel vision the Winston. Like, I don't look at anybody else but the Winston. But overall, like, this isn't a situation where Echo is like a god tier pick. Hard to go wrong, honestly. Because no hit scan, no double shield. I don't know. They're hopeless actually. But yeah, definitely well played. Good focus.